Hey guys, Auctioneer Heather here. So I guess I feel like being a little more vulnerable today than normal. And I think some of it has to do with going through a process. And when you start going through the next level of a similar process, you start remembering the things that you had to do to get yourself there. And for me, a very big thing for me when I decided to grow a business and work for myself was that I had to be okay with people not understanding me. That's number one. I had to, and really that's a loaded comment. So what do I mean by people not being okay or not understanding why you would do what you do? And I have to tell you that this is stuff that came up across the board in so many different ways. I mean, when I walked away and decided to start my own business, I had a pretty solid sales career. And I had some friends who could not believe that I walked away from what I walked away from. And so there's that type of not understanding you. I also had people that were not quite sure how I was going to go about what I was envisioning. And to be honest with you, I didn't either. I think I've said this before on here, but personal property was never in my plan. Like, my personal plan was not that. And that is such a huge part of our business that it's kind of crazy to even think that. But they couldn't wrap their heads around it. And so that comes off sometimes as they don't support you, but they also don't, if they can't understand it, it's hard for them to encourage you. Can it be done? Yes. And thank God I had several people who were just like solid, hardcore encouragers. And some of those people may not even know who they are. I've tried to do a very good job of telling them, but sometimes it's just making the comments that they make to kind of encourage you along. And I think about, if I would not have been brave enough to be misunderstood and to be uncomfortable. And so I really do feel like God has, for the last several years, had me in I'm going to call it a place of rest, because it was a place of rest. It was a place of restoration. Was there still work going on? Absolutely. But there was a restoration that he was doing in me. And I would say that I probably fought it, or I was at least uncomfortable to some degree. I was trying to fix things or do things. And I am very faithful, and everybody may not believe what I believe, but I can look back now and I can tell that he was taking me, preparing me, testing me for the opportunities that are going to be in my path moving forward. And so that has been a blessing. It's been a blessing to have gone through it and to know that that is what I have to go through again. And I did another post earlier where I told you guys that I was really present with the fact that I was counting a trial as joy, because I don't know that, I mean, I'm sure I've done that in my life, but like truly naming it that and knowing that there is something to glean from that. And that's because I've walked it. Like, I've experienced it, and it doesn't take away from any of those people that may have in some way discouraged you or misunderstood you. But there is this level of like give a damn that has to leave you. And as I recall it and I remember each step when I did that. Like, I even remember when I went and called my first auction with my uncle, and I knew that there were going to be a few people there. I knew, not many, but I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to wonder what I'm doing, because I hadn't told any of my friends that I was pursuing this or seeing if I was any good at it. And I remember even then, like, I had to mentally prepare myself for people not understanding. And there's still plenty of people who don't understand. And as you grow in your business, there's also people who don't understand, oh my gosh, just so much. I think there's a lot of expectation, and people are used to, like, people vying for their favor. And one of the things that I really had to do in that process, when I had to get my head right, I tell people sometimes it's like I had to put blinders on, and I couldn't pay attention to what was going on except for on my path, because it could be so distracting and discouraging and all of those things. But I knew that there was something that was placed on my heart, and I just needed to explore it. I had no idea what it was going to look like. I didn't know how it was going to work. At the bare minimum, I thought it would be something that could be a part-time gig, right? And so there were like all these little micro moments of bravery that it takes to do that. Where I'm going with all of this is, as I progressed in my business, I started seeing that everyone can't always come with you, and everyone is not always meant to come with you. And when you're a relational person, that becomes really hard, because then before you make a decision, you're trying to qualify all of these things. And honestly, there were times where I had to sit with myself. We'd have somebody who wanted to help and wanted to join us, and I had to think to myself, am I going to be okay if this doesn't work out? Am I going to be okay with that? Because I've experienced it where I have not been okay with it. And it's kind of I say there's almost this like different layer of understanding, where it's not your choices, it's whatever choice is necessary to take you where the good Lord is taking you. And you don't get to plan that. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to be okay with how in the world and in our flesh, not just us, but the other people it could affect, can receive that. And that's just a little piece of the journey. And I feel him kind of having me in that same space. Like, you have to not care. You have to own and trust and know, and to come alongside you, and those who aren't won't. And no skin off anybody's back. It's just the way it is. And it's his plan, not my plan. He is just using me for his plan to reach his people in the way he needs to reach them. So it's time to buck up, baby. Here we go. It's going to be an interesting